Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and especially you, nephew, I gotta be honest. I dropped the ball this week. I've had a card crisis. I think that's what I wanna call it. Card crisis. I'm trademarking that. But I wanted to make this video for two reasons. To really update the channel, have a specifically worded focus on what videos I'll be making on this channel, so you guys aren't confused. And two, if you guys have had this similar crisis that I'm going to talk about in this video, so that you guys can probably do some thinking of your own on deciding which card game to play. Now, hey, if you're rich, buy them all. Do whatever you want. But a brother like me, brother like me ain't rich. And I really had to think about two things because of that reason. One, what sort of card game do I want to invest in real life, and which cards I want to actually buy and have it not be a what's the word, or not have buyer's remorse over what I'm picking up. And two, this is, for me specifically, what cards am I going to use to focus for this channel? And I've walked myself through this crisis, and I've fought through it, and now I'm ready to let y'all know. So if you guys have any idea of what I'm talking about, you're probably going through the same thing. So just, what I'm saying, just pay attention. I'm gonna show you how I went through it. You guys can probably do it on your own, and then you can figure out what you want to play. So first, the problem. It's a lot of card games out there. Just off of the top of my head, or what I see often is Magic, Lorcana, Pokemon, One Piece, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Union Arena, and then Riftbound comes out at the end of October. That's got a decent amount of hype that I hear people talking about at my locals and things like that. But yeah, that's a lot of it's a lot of options. It's a lot of different gameplays you have to learn. It's a lot of different cards you have to buy. It's a lot of different or it's a lot of time that it takes up. I'm speaking for like the YouTube side. It takes me time to think, what do I want to do this week? What video do I want to make this week? What card game do I want to focus on? So I think to make it easier on myself, I'm just going to pick one card game and stick to it, which I will let y'all know by the end of this presentation. But yeah, this is the problem. It's too many cards, too many dang cards. Even on my desk right now, I'm looking at One Piece right here. I got the Full Metal Alchemist mat right here. I got Spider-Man Magic cards right here. I got a Magic box, a Lord of the Rings Magic box, but inside it's Union Arena cards. Like there's too many cards, too many cards. So let's break it down. The easy answer is play what you like. Like I said, if you're rich, ball out, man. Do whatever you want. Play whatever you're interested in, whatever you want to try. You can buy whatever. You can also try whatever, which I'm going to talk about later. But the reasons that I'm about to list in this video are my opinions from my perspective as a non-rich, regular old dude who can't afford to buy cards anytime he wants. And the second thing is blame your in-laws. You know who you are. This is your fault. All right. So yeah, going to step one. What do I like? So I like anime. I like comics, and I like Arcane. Arcane specifically for Riftbound, but that cuts out a lot of the list that I mentioned. I know there's 10,000 more card games that can't be mentioned. I almost got into the Transformers card game for a second. I almost got into Gundam for a second, but I was gonna list every single card game known to man. But from that list, I can cross out Lorcana. Disney's cool, but I'm not that big of a fan of it. I can cross out Pokemon, same thing. Cool thing when I was a kid, but not that into it anymore. Digimon I never got into. Yu-Gi-Oh I never got into. So those are the easy cross off ones. The reason why magic is italicized, if you got good eyes and paying attention, it's because I'm not into magic. I got pulled in. I got pulled in by someone who shall not be named, but they pulled me into this game, and it was fun, and I liked playing it. So this is also something you can do even from this list. Just try whatever you like, because maybe you'll find gameplay that you'll like more than the IP itself. I know nothing about the Magic IP, but I like the. I'm gonna get into that. Like my last video showed, the Magic opening for the Spider-Man set. I'm a fan of Marvel, but right now the only Marvel card game that I know of is Marvel Champions, which I do play, but I don't own. And that's more of a board or team versus board game, if that's the way to describe it. Golly, the stutter of doom. Anyways, if you want to, what I want to do is, get into some battles with other people, but still a fun game, but not one that I want to get into myself. So this Spider-Man Magic set was why the Magic is italicized, because who knows if they'll make more Marvel sets. I'll be there for it, and you'll see my decisions later. But yeah, that cuts off all those, which only leaves Magic, One Piece, Union Arena, and Riftbound. One Piece, goated anime. I feel like it's the best form of fiction ever. It's quite literally unlimited creativity, and makes for one of the greatest stories told in manga or anime. It's not my favorite. I think it's objectively the best. Okay, don't kill me. My favorite is Mob Psycho, but it is objectively the best piece of fiction, I feel like. And Union Arena, still, all of the different animes I watch, I want to, collect cards for and things like that. Because it's two of my worlds combining. That's why I got into Union Arena, because I saw Full Metal Alchemist and I was like, oh, that's cool, let me get that. And then Attack on Titan came out. I was like, oh, that's cool, let me get that. And then currently they're on Ronin Kenshin. I haven't seen that one. And Code Geass Volume 2. And and then I found the JJK stuff when I was practicing the game, and blah 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 blah. And it just kept going and kept going, where I can invest into different animes that I like. But we'll talk about that in a second as well. And then Riftbound, finally. There's not enough. I have played Riftbound. I printed some proxies. I have a video on that where I was playing against myself because I couldn't find anybody to record with. But I've played the game. It seems fun. It's new and has a lot to grow into. I hope that it does grow. I hope that people invest in it and are as excited for it as I am. But Arcane is what got me into the League of Legends world. I don't know what the cinematic universe is called, but Arcane made me play League for the first time, and also helped me discover 2XKO, which I want to play so bad as soon as that drops. And so adding a card game to that, something that I'm already interested in, that I'm already into, it's just icing on the cake. So I gotta try Riftbound, at least give it a chance when it comes out. So let's break down these games that we have left. And what I mean by breakdown is, and what if you have this issue, I want you to do is separate a pros and cons list. It's magic. It works every time. I'm just now realizing that my camera is probably over the cons list, but I'm gonna read it out anyways. So Magic the Gathering. This game is so cool. It's so fun, but some of the fun part of it makes it a con, which I'm gonna explain. So the pros is it's creativity, it's history, the pods game style, playing Commander. You know, you have 4 people at a time. And then what I like personally, like I said, this is a personal list. I know Magic fans don't like this as much and they want some more in-universe stuff, but me personally, I like the collaborations. I like this Spider-Man set. I like that they have, you know, secret layers with Iron Man and Black Panther and SpongeBob and having the Magic set, not Magic, the Avatar set come out soon. And like I said, hopefully more Marvel sets later. But I personally like the collaborations. And you know, pods is such a cool design to have 4 people in a somewhat like it's like a mix of a 1v1 card game and Catan, where you have to negotiate with people like their world leaders, and you really feel like you're commanding an army. I don't know if I'm describing that correctly, but it's such a cool concept, and a cool thing that was made by the fans of it, and that correlates to history. But it's been going on for a long time, and it has so many different cards that can be put into different decks, and in different decks they do different things, and it's almost unlimitedly free on how much you can create in a deck, because of that card history, but also their lack of restrictions on what you can build. As long as it shares the same color combination and isn't banned, put it in the deck if you feel like it deserves to be in there. And that's so cool to me, just how much or how your cards never feel, the cards that you collect never feel like they will never belong in a deck. There's more than likely will be a deck for them at some point, even if it's a joke deck, a very competitive deck. The ranges in between that can, you know, go anywhere. But it's so cool to have that freedom of deck building, because I really like the deck building process. I know after I opened the Spider-Man stuff, I was deck building for Commander with that person who shall not be named. You know your name, you know that this is your problem. But building I built 2 Commander decks that I have on my desk right now, Penny Parker and the Amazing Spider-Man that I pulled. And you know, Penny Parker is a spider hero, but the deck I built is made for artifacts. And if I know I'm probably talking gibberish to people who don't play Magic, it's gonna happen a lot, but I was able to build an artifact deck because she is also a artifact creature, being that she's a robot and things like that. So the freedom that you have to take something from a Spider-Man set and put it from something from 17 sets ago is amazing. Now the cons, the reason why creativity and history is both in the pros and the cons, is because sometimes it does feel like, okay, maybe those 2 cards shouldn't be allowed to be together. Sometimes it's like, oh, you drew 2 cards that you needed out this 100 card deck, win the game in 2 turns, and it's like, maybe that's not as fun. And these are personal cons, by the way. If you like this, you know, play it. Like I said, play what you like. But me personally, it's just like, sometimes it's like, oh, I'm just waiting to draw 1 more card and then I'll win the game. And it's like, what are you talking about? It's turn 3. But you know, that's how the game works, especially in Commander. And that comes with the pros of the freedom of deck building and the history of how long this game has been going. There are cards that you just can't balance for. Now, these are the last 2 are personal cons. Pricing, of course, like I said from the start of this video, Mr. Broke Boy, I can't afford to buy all the cards that I will want. I was printing out proxies from Architect architect, I think that's how you say it. And I put like 16 cards on there, and they were like, yeah, $200. And I was like, oh, okay. I won't be getting those for real, but I'll print out these proxies. And then this is a personal thing. I personally don't like how resource generation works in Magic. Magic players don't hang me, but it feels so awkward to have to build a deck around your characters, artifacts, sorcery, instants and sorceries, and then and lands all have to be included in whatever your deck list is. And then on top of that, the lands being your resource on how you play cards. On top of that, you have to draw the lands to actually play the game. I don't like that personally, but you know, I come from One Piece, so you know, you get your resources every turn, no matter what. You just have to play around your deck, and that's all you have to build. But like I said, that's a personal con. But yeah, so that's what I think of Magic the Gathering. Union Arena. Now, Union Arena is such a cool idea. The idea of having a universal game for all these different animes to for people to collect, to play against their friends with, is so cool. And I think that's one of the pros, is the IPs that it has access to and can get access to. Makes it such a good collectible game. I'm actually missing a con, but I'll get to that in a second. But it makes it such a cool idea of a collectible game where you can pick up the animes you like. You don't have to buy every set to keep up, and you can I'm forgetting the word, be meticulous on what you feel like you want and what you don't want. The other pros to this is the balance and the price. For price, I feel like it's mostly because it's a new game, but I could be wrong on that. Or a newer game or less popular game. Like deck lists are really cheap to just buy them out. If you just want to grab a deck, and just picking up the packs or boxes are cheaper than most boxes that I've picked up in my time playing these card games. Balance, this one should possibly be in both the pros and cons list, because I understand their idea of a high-end balancing this card game. There are restrictions. I feel like they're a bit too heavy. That's why deck building is in the cons list. But they're balanced so that animes cannot cross over. The only thing that can cross over are volumes in anime. So there's like the JJK Volume 1 that can be mixed in with the JJK Volume 2. And then the energy generation is another form of balancing. From what I remember, I may be wrong on this one. Union Arena heads, y'all can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But technically, the colors in your deck can be whatever you want it to be. They don't have to match. But what has to happen is your energy generation has to match that color to play said card. And with that, and how the game is designed, you can only have 4 cards in your energy generation field. And so for the most part, it has to be a monocolored deck, which doesn't completely force you to play monocolored, but essentially you're forced to play monocolored. You know, and if not, you'll more than likely break every game, or never get, or have a card full of cards you can't play because your energy generation is all red instead of blue. Just using these cards for example. That is one of the cons that I feel like this game has a problem with, is the creativity that Magic has this has the far opposite of that, where the deck building is pretty restricted. And I don't think this would be a problem if the sets had more options. From what I've experienced, from what I've picked up and learned in my short time playing this game, is that each color comes with two each color comes with two sort of, I'll say, deck archetypes. Unfortunately, I didn't pick the right images here, but I should have. So let's take the Colossal Titan for one. It's a green deck. Green decks do have the Marleyan Titans deck, which is the Colossal Titan, Annie, Reiner, and everything in that set sort of goes to that one goal of raiding out your Colossal Titan. This isn't the raid Colossal Titan, but raiding out your three Titans, having your front line really strong, really hard to remove, and very defensive heavy. And none of them synergize with the Pure Titans deck or the Zeke deck. Those can only really have its stay in a Zeke built deck. And I think that it's part of their balancing for sure, but I do think it takes away a bit too much of the freedom in deck building, which is something that I personally enjoy. You sort of know what the deck is going to do, or you know, based off of a card, you know what else is in that deck, because you know that said card can't really go into other decks. So if you see a Levi come down, you're more than likely not seeing a Historia come down, because those are two separate archetypes. If you see a Basement, then you know that they are playing the Raid Aaron deck and not the 104th Cadets Court Barrett deck. And it's like it's things like that where I understand why, but I do think it takes way too much away from the freedom of deck building, which can become stale. And I think that was part of my crisis this week, because I was playing games. I was playing green Suzaku for Kogias, and I built my deck, and I was like, well, I really just built what I saw other people playing, and not on purpose. Like, I built what I thought was best for that deck, and even just me thinking like that, it's like, oh, this is just everything that I've seen other people play. And I wish that there was more freedom I could allow myself to do. So that's my rant on deck building with Union Arena. And then the sort of the same thing is what I mean by effects. I think too many, or I think the color effects are a bit too samey between animes, where actually no, that's not what I'm trying to say. The results of effects are a bit samey. Like, everything either builds to remove bodies on an opponent's front line, or what's the word? Remove bodies or buff your own bodies outside of One Punch. That's the only deck that I've seen is not really built for that style. And that sort of leads into my next point, which is tempo. I think once a player really gets their game plan going off, it's very hard for the opposite player to change the tempo back in their favor. Most games feel like a steamroll, and they feel like they're decided based off of luck of the draw, more than, deck building and planning. Of course, there are outplays and different opportunities that you can take, but for the most part, It's more of, oh, did my opponent make a mistake, and can I capitalize on it? Is the only way to sort of, I've seen, is the only way to get back into a game. But yeah, that's my spiel on Union Arena. And I know I got a lot of Union Arena fans in this channel because I've been uploading that a lot mostly. Game is still fun. I just don't think it has staying power with me. So this game, unfortunately, I'm going to have to cross off the list for making videos for this channel. Next, we have One Piece. This is the game that's gotten me into card games. This is what I wanted to start this channel on, but I had so much success with Union Arena that I sort of just focused on that, and sort of just dropped this by the wayside. You could probably go back and see a couple videos where I've mentioned One Piece. But yeah, this is a game that I play at my locals every week. Not every week, but most weeks. I go and play One Piece. Like I said, it's gotten me into card collecting. I love, oh, that's the other thing that I forgot. Union Arena, I don't like the artwork for most of them. The only cool artworks are like this Colossal Titan, which is a very specific alternate art that you can, I believe, only get from starter decks. The two cards in the back you can pull, but they're extremely rare, and even still, they're really just what's the word, like character sheet prints. These are signed, but other cards that are like that are just characters. They're not drawn by an original artist, and that's something that One Piece has over it. These are not just screenshots from animes or from character sheets plastered onto a card. Now you can, because I know that One Piece did start like that, where they were anime screenshots and manga panels ripped from animes and mangas and just put onto the card when in its beginning. So you can say that they are building towards that. I did see that whatchamacallit, Kaiju number 8 is having some original art, but still not a lot. But they are having more original art than I've seen so far. But yeah, one of these big pros is just the cards are amazing to collect. It feels good, even when it's not even a card you're looking for. The artwork is just so sick. You're just like, oh, that's pretty. Alternate arts that you don't want are like, oh, I don't want this, but it looks dope. I have a binder of stuff where it's like, I'm never going to play these cards. I'm willing to trade them, but since they're alternate arts, they look sick. So I'm gonna keep them. And that's one of the pros to this is the artwork. But let me go what I actually wrote down. The pros being the balance of the game, the updates, and the deck building. I'll get to that in a second. I think they try heavily to balance this game. Some things I agree with, some things I don't. But I like that they do try heavily to, like, oh, maybe this was a mistake. Recently, they introduced a new form of bans where it's not banned cards, but banned card combinations. Because there was a deck that was running rampant and really couldn't be stopped. So they didn't want to ban the specific cards because then that'll mess up the decks that they actually belong to. But they didn't want that deck to stay at the top of the meta, so they banned those card combinations, which is cool. And then even before that, they were making card bans where they were like, okay, this just might be a bit too strong, so let's remove it from the game. And they even introduced unbanning cards when the meta can catch up to set cards. We'll see how that holds out in the future, because I don't think it is live yet, or at least I haven't run up against a blue-black Sakazuki yet. But I know that he's getting unbanned because he was at the top of the meta for some time, and then they made changes to take him out. But now they're bringing him back in because the other card balance has caught up to his level. At least they believe that. Updates. They do updates frequently. I feel like they just dropped the set and now they're dropping a bonus set in between the next set, and there's 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 constant updates in our locals Discord. I feel like every single day there's a new card shown or leaked or being rumored about a certain deck, and it updates not so that it's like Union Arena, because Union Arena can't mold animes together. This isn't like that. So you have a bit more freedom in your deck building process. And updates can go to prior decks where something that didn't have its limelight before can be brought into the limelight. I know Bello Betty has came like from like a tailwind out of nowhere to counter some of the meta decks, which is really strong, and gets stronger because there are updates that are printed for other leaders that come out for the set, and then can be attributed to other cards. Like this set, I wasn't buying to save money, but I do want to pick up the Black Revolutionary Army cards in this set, because in the next set there is a Black Revolutionary Army leader that I want to add those cards to. And that form of updating, that form of deck building, is the stuff that I like. But even with that, there are restrictions. And this is going into the cons, which is our restrictions, overcorrection, and printing. I'll start with printing because that's simple. I don't feel like they print enough One Piece for the demand, and that makes the prices skyrocket. They're doing better with it now. They're having the set in between. This one is a reprint set for I don't think it's specifically for English, but it is a reprint set, so that some of the highly expensive cards that shouldn't be that expensive can be played by other people, because they previously just stopped printing them. So they're trying to fix that, but it is still a problem where prices are way too high for some singles. Restrictions. Now, restrictions is a part of the balance, so I understand it, but I do feel like there are some restrictions that specifically keep decks from I guess having their time to shine. I'll say that. They may update a deck. So let's talk about Kobe, since he's right here. Kobe is a removal deck, but he removes more in the sense of characters fighting characters instead of removal by effects. Now he's getting a new card in this in this mid set where he has, or where on attacking he can KO a 3k or less of original power, which I understand you can't just make it busted KO every time he attacks. A 3k or less every time he attacks, no matter what the original cost was. But there are other cards and other decks that can reduce a 10 cost body down to 0 and KO it that way. And so it just feels like, okay, they get the high body removal, but this card or this deck doesn't. And I think restrictions in that way become kind of like the meta locks for a long time, and there isn't much shift, or isn't too much of a shift in meta, especially when it comes to like tournament stats and things like that. You'll see the same top 3 decks across multiple tournaments for a long time until a ban happens, or a new set comes out that actually counters the top dogs in that meta. But that also comes with overcorrection. Now this is more of a personal thing. I think I feel like a problem with One Piece is when people are talking about, oh, this needs to change, this needs to change, they do listen, but it sort of feels like there's two separate teams that are listening. There's the ban team that will, ban certain cards so that changes can happen. And then there's the printing team that will print certain cards so that decks won't be subject to the same meta. For example, let's still talk about Kobe, is removal. I feel like removal was a problem for a long time in One Piece. And with that, they printed a whole lot of cards that just protect from removal. Kobe is a leader that protects from removal once per turn. There's a blocker card that if a certain card of another type is removed, you can put it into your life and instead. There's just a whole bunch of cards that's like protect from any form of removal. Or I'm skipping a step because first it was KO protection, and then that got bad, so they switched, or they started printing cards with trash effects instead of KO in their text, so you get around the KO text, and then that got out of hand, so then they started printing cards that said is removed from the field in any way, it just activates that protection effect. So I think there's a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, it's not too bad, but a con to it is the overcorrection, and then with that overcorrection, it makes certain decks too strong. There's Green Zoro currently has two different cards that protect his board from removal effects. And 2 card doesn't sound like a lot, but 8 cards in a deck, 8 of those cards in a deck, it is a lot. And so you just build your board out, and it's unmovable unless unremovable unless you are running a specific removal deck that can remove that card and then continue to remove other cards. And then the other decks can't keep up because then they just have a wall of really uninteractable cards outside of battle. And then for the most part, what the real problem is they'll have the protection effects on a card with blocker. So even if you swing high into that card that you want to get gone, they have to use the blocker, or they can just use the blocker, and then you don't have any Don to play with anymore. So I think that is something that I feel like is a personal problem. The overcorrection of oh, this is a problem, let's ban and make cards that go against said meta, which makes a whole new meta that is highly populated with the same deck types. And then the other thing about restrictions that I forgot to mention is you can move cards around from deck to deck. Like you can have, like this dragon is a Revolutionary Army type. That Kuma is also a Revolutionary Army type. This dragon is a Revolutionary Army type, but you can put him into let's say the Kobe deck. But he won't be able, the Kobe effect won't be able to protect that Monkey D Dragon with his effect because his card specifically says Navy. Like I said, that's part of the balance. And I know what happens when they don't have those restrictions. You get a Gecko Moria meta, where you just revive infinite cards from his trash. But those restrictions can sometimes bite themselves in the butt, where there's cards that feel like they should go together, but they just don't. I'm gonna keep speaking on this Kobe because I know the set better than the one that's on screen. But in the anime, Kobe's teacher is Garp. Garp was printed in this set where Kobe has a leader. He is a black card. He is a Navy card. But I believe he's 9,000 or 8,000 power, so he can't be protected by Kobe's effect. And his effect more coincides with this black Luffy, black purple Luffy or black Luffy, because it puts it down on your leader, and then it activates a lot of things to get you removal. Excuse me, I've said removal a lot since I started talking about One Piece, but that's how the game works. And for some reason, his effect just has no real use in the Kobe deck, which I just found strange because it is a Navy type. He is canonically his teacher. I feel like that should have been in the Kobe deck, but because of the way the card was designed, I guess this isn't a problem with sort of restrictions, because Kobe can only protect the 7,000 or less, so he wouldn't be able to protect the guard. But yeah, just some printing things. It's just weird with this deck. But I've talked about this game for too long already, so let's just move on to the short one, Riftbound. Now, like I said, I did try this game out. I have played since that video, and looked at cards since that video, but still, I can't really speak on pros and cons because the game's not out yet. I know it's being made by Magic veterans, and it has a lot of Magic flavor already, but a bit more simplified. At least I feel like it's a bit more simplified, so that it can be learned quickly and picked up quickly. From what I've played and what I've seen, the win condition seems a lot simpler. The battling is fresh, it's new. I haven't seen a card game deal with fighting for battlefields, and having the two-zone system with your base zone and then the actual battlefield where your characters can be more easily interacted with. It looks like they are taking it serious. The leaders are. This could be a con because this is something that I just said with One Piece, having just the leader system. I know that each leader has its own like mythic spell or something. I forgot what it's called, or legendary spell, I believe, where it can only be used with that leader. That I'm fine with because that's just each leader has its own legendary spell. That's cool. But the deck building, as long as that's still free and open, sort of like Magic is, I feel like that'll be big. But I will say that that's up in the air on how they decide to print their cards, what effects they give their cards, to put them in whatever deck that they belong in. The fact that at least all revealed leaders have been dual colors, so that things like deck building can stay fresh. So you're not just working with the same amount of, especially when the game first starts, you're not just working with the same amount of red cards in a deck for all your red leaders, because like Jinx is red purple, and then there's red orange, red green, a bunch of different things that you can build, because of the way that color combinations work, just really amplifying the deck building process. But yeah, these are all speculations, all things that are waiting to be seen, things that I hope that will happen. But with that being said, these are my ideas floating around, the crisis that I had this week, floating around of what game did I want to get into. And with that, yeah, what will I be playing on this channel? I will continue to play most of these games. Like I said, I play Magic with He Who Shall Not Be Named. I still have my Union Arena cards that I can go to locals with. Still got my One Piece cards that I go to locals with, and then Riftbound will come out soon. But what content will this channel be on? This is not for you to answer. It's for me to answer. And I had to deal with that because I know a lot of you guys came for Union Arena and like Union Arena. But I hope you guys will still stick around after I make a change, because Union Arena won't be the main card video or main card game for this channel anymore. It will be Riftbound. I'm making a bet or a gamble. I'm hoping that this game succeeds. I'm hoping that I can grow with the game, grow the channel more, find more people. If you come from Maybe you found me through the Magic opening video, maybe you found me through Union Arena, maybe you found me from when I was playing on the PS5. I'm glad that you are here. I hope you're still watching, and I hope if you play card games, I hope you do this exercise for yourself to save your pockets a little bit, like I'm saving mine. But for this, I'm making a bet. I really want this game to succeed. I hope it does well, and that will allow me to grow alongside the game. The videos I can make on it are deck testing, like I've been doing with Union Arena, tournament commentary, set reviews, and a bunch of other stuff that I just haven't thought of yet. Like deck updates and things like that. I'm itching to find me a main deck once I've tried a lot and gotten used to how this game works, and I've learned all the kinks in it, and like win conditions and a lot of different stuff. It's very exciting to get into a new card game. But yeah, I hope that you all are okay with that. I hope you guys stick around, but if you don't, I completely understand. But this will be my focus moving forward, and I will see you all soon with a Riftbound video. Don't know what I'm gonna start with. More than likely not deck testing, because I'm not at the level to build my own decks. Probably do some tournament commentary as I learn the cards in the game, learn how the professionals are using it, and how I can use it in my own decks as I grow, and then set reviews. Maybe when we get closer to the release at the end of October, you know, I can do a set review of the starter set and the cards that'll come out there, the decks that you should probably be building, if you wanna try it out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the crisis that I had. Like I said, I hope I helped you out if you had a similar crisis. Excuse me. Yeah, I hope you stick around for the Riftbound content. I will see you all next week. Remember to support your local card shops, and goodbye.